performances with TPC, but Challenger Series, we watched over them time in and time out. It was great to watch them in Split 2 Phase 2, but now we get to see them once again. Replaced by Zysho on the VQ roster. We're not going to see them tonight, or maybe we will see them. They are going to be on the side station. We might have a chance to peek in. Who knows? But with that being said, though, we'll see how Bronny's going to perform on this roster. Team Queso gets a great addition. INZEM uncontested once again. I say once again, but you remember that breakout from Rebel and Dreamcom whenever it came to this map. What's going on? Why are teams not challenging for the M-Bar?
Right now, I just feel like it's too early. Teams are still figuring out their strategies, what's important, what's not. Is an early lead on this hill more important than that M-Bar? To me, it all depends on how well your M-Bar player is really able to put it to use. And right now, they're going to be able to get a 10-point lead, get them some points under their belt, and force Hive in to make these moves, make some mistakes here. They get that first down, unable to clean it up just yet. INZEM gets caught out, but you see they're trying to funnel these players out. They're suffocating, they're trying to close it out, but it means nothing if they don't pick up these eliminations. Pale gets down from the backside, big flank coming through, not able to get cleaned up just yet, but Bronny falling. There it goes, that opportunity. Two players already dead, but how much time is left on the hill, Taylor? This is a mistake we've seen Dream Conspiracy and Rebel both make in our first series.
Yeah, not a lot of time here. You don't need to be pushing this, especially whenever you're looking at the other team have a 30 or so point lead. Well, now you'll make it 15, maybe even close to 20 points, 16. That's what it's going to be at. But now you put yourself at a disadvantage. Now you're going to have to break this next hill. It's not going to be easy. Maybe INZEM can make it easier with the M-Bar, but he's got to connect. Only 2 shots remain, and Bronny has already got the finish onto TJ, and that's going to make the job that much harder for Hive to push in. So Team Queso, they're going to continue to gain their lead. Hive, a veteran team, in my opinion. They have some great players, but like you said, they're kind of falling into the same thing Rebel did on Training Grounds earlier.
And they put their eggs in the M-Bar basket. It hasn't worked out for them just yet, but finally the angles respawning in. That second opportunity from TJ was crucial. Now the eliminations are going their way. Bronny, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place, trying to at least get a trade. He gets nothing. So the hill is going to go on over towards Hive, but Scavzy is not giving up this positioning just yet. This is the same position we've seen Hive just in, but luckily for them, Demise is going to get that M-Bar towards the backside. The hill time is dwindling down, but there's still plenty of time for Hive to get back into this one, or Queso to build themselves a nice lead as this fight does continue. Multiple players of Hive are getting taken out, so their decision to backtrack for the M-Bar is not working out for them. And overall, 2 M-Bars not netting any good positioning in this matchup. First one's going to be with INZEM, second one with Demise.
And Demise is going to really need to utilize that M-Bar effectively, and at this point, he's just forced to fight it out. Pell will drop. He gets the team pickup, and great Lancer fire from TJ. Also from the other side of the map, Bronny ends up dropping. That's 3 out of the way, and obviously Hive, they're going to be able to get this break. Yachty's going to be the last one standing. He does have the shock. That's going to be great for the left side, but man, I mean, he's got so much work to do, and the frag isn't going to make his life any easier, and TJ's going to get picked back up, and well done. Hive gets the break, and that was because they were able to kill off 3 players from Team Queso on the rotation over to the new one.
Yeah, I was getting scared for a moment, but Solurs gets back in a position to block the spawn, force him to spawn outward, but with that elimination, they open up the center portion of the map. They should have tried to attack Solurs now, open up that spawn just in case they died. They can spawn right back up, and that's exactly what both Scavzy and Pell are looking to do. They're trying to angle out Solurs. Lots of shots being fired out. That's going to first elimination coming through. They distracted the other players in a 2v2 situation. Luckily for TJ and Demise, they're able to get one, but they can't hold on much longer. They fall. The hill's going to change hands, and with 40, I do believe, plus seconds left on that hill, that's going to be enough time for them to, I think, double up the scoreline of Hive.
Team Queso needs to revolve their roster around Bronny. In my opinion, at least from his performance with VQ, you allow Bronny to get loose and just do what he knows best, and that's just really slay out, quite honestly. You allow him to do that, your team is going to be much better off. The way that he just handled the remaining Hive members in the hill that they're currently on was quite beautiful. It really was. And now Team Queso is able to net themselves even more of a lead. By the time that last hill is going to be done with, they're going to have double the points that of Hive. Granted, Yachty now is fighting against the world. Great shot onto one. The trade is there on the Solurs. Pell now having to hold his own against the last remaining member from Hive. INZEM's going to be off in a distance. He's going to be able to Lancer out. It's going to make the life very difficult for Pell. He's eventually finished. Demise is going to be traded. It's chaotic at most, but Scavzy should be able to pick this up. Nice shot onto Yachty. Yachty still staying on his own 2 feet, and he ultimately will end up falling as INZEM hits the final shot, and Hive wins the long-winded battle, and that's 3 M-Bars in a row for Hive.
Yep. So far, they're 0-2 with the M-bars. I will say that. So,
but they've got it three times.
I wouldn't be too scared just yet if I'm Team Queso, especially they have a good scoring line as well. They need to figure out a way. Yes, find that opening, get the down on Demise. Finally, INZEM nets himself elimination. That's going to be a big one, but the play coming through. INZEM gets himself another kill. Yachty gets taken down. They're trying to put a stopper to the points. Play coming through. That's going to be a big shot. INZEM finally met his makers. Gets taken out. And now it's going to be up to Team Case. Oh, no, what a blunder. I know that was an accident right there. Yeah. TJ probably punching his screen right now. Hopefully you don't break your monitor and you can continue playing. But Team Queso with control over this hill, they're going to get themselves a little bit more points to cushion up their lead. Hopefully Hive doesn't get too desperate. They're not even past the halfway point in the game just yet, so there's plenty of Gears of War action left in control.
Yeah, if TJ breaks his monitor, I hope he has like a pit crew ready to go with another monitor. You know, like in F1 or NASCAR, you know, just switch it out, put it on the bracket or whatever, and hey, plug up the HDMI to power cord. You're ready to go. And obviously, critical seconds be wasted. You got to have that pit crew there ready to go, especially if you're just going to rage and break your monitor. That's an expensive mistake to make. I'm not going to lie, but it does happen to the best of us. Actually, it sounds like you're speaking from experience, brother.
I always tell myself, if I'm rich, I'm going through monitors like toilet paper, man. I'm going them out one
like
day after the next.
My goodness.
Toilet paper. Yep, there goes INZEM. That's what having that anchor. You talk about being the anchor. This is a great example right now of Hive trying to do that anchor, but they just get overwhelmed right now by Team Queso. There was not numbers there. They were too spread out. They were trying to block the spawns, and it doesn't work out for them. But because Demise did try to block that spawn towards the top side, they did get Hive INZEM that necessary spawn, but he gets taken out quick, and they spawn there yet again. So they're doing a good job of holding on to the spawn, but they're not breaking forward. Big crucial trades coming through, but it's just a matter of who's going to spawn here next. Now Yachty got the spawn there, so that's going to be crucial. Now they can try to angle out. They need to get Force out of this spot here, but they have a massive lead. This is not a one-all be-all. They can make some different moves around the map to keep this lead in their hands.
In that last fight for the hill, I was really impressed with Pell. Pell was in a 1v spot against Solurs. We know Solurs is a very difficult player to really engage on in that 1v1. Solurs has been able to hold his ground against literally the best in the world. But in that moment, Pell, he was able to get the elimination and then join the rest of his teammates to kind of flush out the remaining members of Hive. And that led Bronny to pretty much be uncontested in the hill. Team Queso getting those valuable points, getting very close to the 300-point mark. That's what they need to get to. And Scavzy also has the M-bar, something that is even going to be more beneficial for the side of Team Queso. 3 more shots remaining in Hive. They have a lot of presence on this next hill. Scavzy, though, could even up the odds. That's one that's going to be gone. 1 more shot remaining. He misses. Now he's going to push up with the Nasher. Tries to engage on Demise. Full ready. Should drop here, and he does. Now, what can the remaining Team Queso members do? Well, it seems as if they're going to put Hive into the blender. They get the break and more valuable points going their way.
Yeah, but TJ got the spawn down low. It's all about TJ staying alive here, buying as much time as possible. Yes, they did get the spawn. This is a brilliant scenario for Hive as they don't make it down low from Team Queso to block that one to come through. Pell's being that anchor towards the backside. They're as a 4-man unit. They need to figure out which grouping of 2 they want to attack, and they need to go as 1. And right now, they're not fast enough. They're just getting funneled. They're getting forced out of position. TJ's doing what he can. He's able to get 1. The trade's going to come through. Reinforcements are there. They don't get the elimination just yet. This is exactly what they need. They got the spawn, and they're making it work out for them. They need to be careful, though, because now Bronny got that spawn. They forgot to block it themselves, but Bronny, he runs past 1 player. Yachty gets taken out. Scavzy falls. Bronny doing what he can, but the spawn was given up. Now it's going to be Hive. They're going to be able to hold on to this next 30 seconds, but this is where Team Queso, they need to trap them in there. Not get these eliminations, but down these players at and leave them there while they make the rotations.
Yeah, I mean, Team Queso can afford to give up these points. They're only 50 points away from securing the victory on Regency control, taking a 1-0 lead in this best of 5, and they're well on their way to doing so. Getting that fresh M-bar, Scavzy picks it up. That's going to be absolutely critical for TQ. Hive may be rotating over for the fresh hill, but that M-bar needs to be put to use. And speaking of the devil, Scavzy gets a great connection onto Demise, the new addition for this roster, and he's going to be on the backside of 1. Doesn't even need to get the finish. He'll be left to bleed out, and only a couple more members from Hive remain. The frag is going to bring Solurs within 1 shot. He's got 3 members pressing him. He's still up. Now he's chunked. He's gone. Solurs out of the way, and Team Queso wins off this hill. They just need to hold Hive off for, what, about 40 or so seconds.
Yep, the pressure is going to be felt right now on the side of Hive. Desperation push were made before. Now they're going to have to be at an all-time high. Hopefully they win these. INZEM gets one down. Now they have the side, but oh my God, Scavzy does it.
He needs this.
Does it again. There's a double. Scavzy wants to get this game number one under his belt, and he has his head on a swivel, immediately helping the next target, and turns again to burn the player onto the hill. Less than 20 seconds remain. They will come out victorious in map number one. They're trying to hold on to different angles. INZEM, he was able to get the elimination. TJ gets one as well. Hive doing what they can to try to get this hill and stop the point lead. And Team Queso, they got aggressive. They're getting these eliminations. They're leaving the hill for it. And this is a great opportunity to catch these players of Hive off guard. Great flash answering back, unable to get the stun. It's going to be up to Bronny here. Not only stay alive, big kill. There goes one. He actually put that shot on the INZEM. INZEM is feeling pressure. That's a big elimination. Team Queso do it. They take the map, I do believe.
Yeah, they definitely take the map. There's no way that Hive is going to be able to come back. One more point, and Team Queso locks it in 300 to 132. And Team Queso starts off in the most dominant win we have seen. Well, no, excuse me, 300 to 129 control TG between Rebel and Dream Conspiracy. But regardless, though, huge plays from Scavzy with the M-bar. And you know what? I'm going to highlight that. Scavzy with the M-bar. How many times did he get it? I think once or twice. But in that, in those 2 times he was able to lock in the M-bar, he gained more value than any member from Hive when they lock down the M-bar. How many wasted shots with the M-bar did Hive have? So many, way too many. And those power weapons are few and far between. You have an M-bar, you have frags, and when you get your hands on that power weapon, it needs to be the playmaker. And unfortunately for Hive, it wasn't. In fact, it kind of put your teammate out of positioning. He was wasting your shots, and all of a sudden, what's the use? There is no use. You can't allow those shots to be wasted. It's too much of a difference maker.
Especially when your strategy, I don't want to say it revolves around it 100%, but you saw it on the initial. They send 2 players over, unable to really retake the hill because they're not going off with the M-bar. The second time around, they had control of a hill. Demise left it to try to get that M-bar, and then it was overrun by Team Queso. Valuable points, valuable battles won, and easily could have changed the tides if there was different decisions being made on the side of Hive. So Scavzy multiple times with the shotgun, multiple times with the M-bar. Bronny going from one team to the next, stepping up to the plate. This is a great way to make your debut as a new roster.
Absolutely. Well done. And man, Scavzy again, just really highlight player. Bronny, the new addition, just playing much like he did on VQ. And I think that's the value, again, that you have with a player such as Bronny. He's hungry. He wants a victory. He was so close to being in grand finals during the spring major, only to be defeated by not only E United, but Fire and Ice. And you better believe he is just as hungry now to be as successful with Team Queso. And quite honestly, Team Queso has been needing a break like this. Their first roster that they had during Split 2, phase 1 just obviously didn't work out with Krabbies. I think they only won one total series against Elevate. That was towards the tail end. They were already going to be relegated anyways. They had a better performance obviously in phase 2, but I think this could be their strongest performance with how they just played that control. They're definitely going to be a dominating factor. But let's go back to our first series, right? Rebel, whenever they played against Dream Conspiracy, Rebel lost in much the same fashion Hive just lost to Team Queso, only to go into execution and then win 6-0, right? Rebel was able to win 6-0 over Dream Conspiracy. Let's now, point the question towards this execution. We're now about to head into checkout. Plays a little bit differently than Tomb. But what are the chances against Team Queso, or at least Team Queso now going to execution against Hive?
I honestly think it's a little bit higher. You get the momentum from map number 1. Unlike Tomb on checkout, it's a lot of close quarter combat fight, especially where these power weapons are at. Yeah. So if you can get a nice smoke, a nice flash, and then you get that chunk to kind of follow up, especially if you're on the same page, you can really do some damage. This isn't like that wide open map that we saw on Tomb, to where it comes down to strategy, a flex player making a different move, showing different looks. You're going to have that 3-1 strategy almost every single round, unless you decide to try and slow it down, run in 2-2, play for nades, play for trying to get a pick. I don't think that one's going to come through. So right now, even though I did predict Hive to win this one, I would not be surprised if Team Queso come out with that same aggression that they had in map number 1, set the tone in the first few rounds, and really put themselves in the driver's seat.
Yeah, Team Queso looked great. They really did. Big team fights was pretty telling. I think Team Queso was able to hold their own more so than Hive was in those big team engagements on Regency control. And again, when you talk about kind of the engagements we're going to be seeing when we go into checkout execution, you're going to see that bottom 3v3 fight that's going to be pretty dominant. I expect Bronny to be a huge influential factor in this engagement. I think across the board you had on Regency control from for the team of Team Queso, 3 members who had the 20 bomb. They look great.
Yeah, one thing I do want to take note of as this map does load up, because it's something you really got to take note of. The player, if it is going to be a 3-1 that is playing that nade side, it's very, very important you're running through the center. And the reason being is you're going to spot the numbers before anybody gets into positioning, and you're going to be able to spot out those trick strats. And you're going to be able to see 3 players rolling over that right side towards the checkout, and so that you can relay that information. Because if you go the long way around, you block yourself from any information. Right there, number 3, INZEM. He's given up a lot of information, the opportunity to gather information.
All right, so INZEM, he's going to be playing in that spot, definitely making some call-outs. Already, Hive has lost a member. Bronny, again, getting loose with Yachty, able to take down 1. Hive answers back. TJ now in a 1v2 himself. He had a good positioning. An opportunity to isolate a 1v was there. Unfortunately, he ends up falling to the wayside. INZEM, frags in hand, but also looking at a 1v3, and you can tell Team Queso is starting to slowly, quickly, I should say, close that vice grip. And yeah, you may have frags, but the other team has a long shot. INZEM is getting peppered. He's down. Now my question is, does Team Queso execute here? Oh, no. They're just going to go ahead and finish it off nice and clean. I like it.
There's just one thing that, I don't know if Shawnee's in chat, maybe he can correct me from wrong. I don't know how the mechanic works. I just wish, maybe we would get more toggle options. When you tag that grenade in execution, I want to make it to where you can't LB and see it through a wall, because I think that ups the clutch factor. It's already hard enough in this game mode with the hill being there. You don't have to necessarily fight for it, because if nobody captures it, it goes to the team that has more people. So I don't know if that's there, how the mechanic works, but I would love to see that kind of where that clutch opportunity is there for INZEM. But once again, it's going to be Team Queso getting aggressive off the initial, but well-placed flashes. That's going to be TJ getting first blood. He gets the incense as well, and that's going to be an opportunity to try to angle out Scavzy. They have Yachty marked as well, so nobody's going to be able to sneak around.
Yeah, Scavzy, really tough spot. 4v3. Scavzy's going to take matters into his own hands. He's very weak, but he's going to try and help out Yachty. He's going to drop. This looks like it's going to be a Hive round. Pell last alive for TQ. He's gone and out. And Hive, a much better round. That team fight went their way. And I love the use of the incense to keep Scavzy, kind of pinned up, not allowing him to move forward, not allowing him to move back. Therefore, they were able to isolate the other members who were alive in that big 3v3 battle a bit more effectively, lock in the long shots, and that was absolutely critical. So battle for the incense needs to be more apparent for the side of Team Queso. It's a big utility item you just can't afford to give to the opposite team.
Now you see that they're both location, they're both going towards the top half, because even though you're sacrificing the information, as long as you know the kind of running a base strategy, but that's going to be out wide. Demise tries to go for the Lancer, unable to get cleaned up. Bronny gets a double kill. Yachty gets a third. INZEM stuck in no man's land, getting crossed out, unable to even fight. As you said, he has flawless victory for the Swarm Squad, which is Team Queso here in this one, and that's where you do it. You set the pace. Honestly, this is not what I expected out of Team Queso, but this is exactly what I love to see in Gears Esports teams really making a name for themselves, especially when an opportunity like this presents itself.
Yeah, Bronny's not holding back. Again, I highlight him so much. I'm sorry that I highlight him, more so than Yachty, Pell, and Scavzy, but I'm just, like I said, I'm very proud of the guy. Again, he just graduated high school. He's putting in big plays, big moves, Gears Pro, and he's so close to victory. Standout performance during the Spring Major, now representing Team Queso, and man, they got an excellent pickup. Ooh, nice shot onto Demise. It's going to take him down. Even so, 3v2, Team Queso had with the deficit, and tricky situation for Yachty. Just about angled out, but stays up long enough. Pell throws out the ensign and doesn't connect onto anything just yet, and but it will at least shut down TJ from rotating over. Very tense engagement here. Hive has the lead in terms of manpower. Who has the long shot? Nobody just yet.
They can't
rotate down for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, they got to go now. The rogue player rotated over. Big shots. Oh, huge. My God, he gets taken out. Yep, those are massive shots right now. INZEM is like a rock. Call him Dwayne Johnson. Double kill with the rest of his teammates. This match is tied up 2 rounds apiece. And this is where you talk about execution. You're able to deploy different strategies, different looks. Even though it may look similar, you can change it up at the drop of a hat.
Yeah, great job from INZEM sticking, you know, or at least standing his ground, not allowing those members from Team Queso to push up and impinge their will. You need players like that. You need to stay poised in moments like that. And INZEM did exactly that. We'll be on board Bronny once again. Very aggressive start. Tries to time the flash. You can see he holds on to it. Luckily gets picked back up. Losing Bronny that early on would have been devastating for Team Queso, and a great shot on TJ. And that's exactly why you want Bronny to stay up in those situations. And now at this point in time, it is going to be a 3v3 as it's answered back from INZEM, taking down Pell. Frags are going to be picked up from INZEM. We'll see how that's going to be put to use. Teams are going to be very close together. Team Queso is going to lose a member, another member of Scavzy. INZEM connects with the frag, and chaos is ensuing. Solurs will take down Bronny. 2v1, Yachty last alive. And he's got to play this carefully.
He had a cannon for an arm, just overthrowing those INZEMs just a little too far. That definitely should be a Team Queso round, but this is why we play it out. See the angles. They don't want to give him any bit of an opportunity here to try to get any leeway in this 2v1 scenario, because that's what you got to do. Find some separation, take a 1v1 while you can. Nothing's going to be given to him. Hive now get the lead. Going to be the first one here in this execution to pair together 2 rounds in a row.
All right, so 2 rounds in a row to first team to do so. That's good on Hive. Much highly contested, or at least more contested in the rounds than our first one between Rebel and Dream Conspiracy. So that gives me good faith that both teams are relatively even here. Again, a big win for Hive. They would tie up the series 1-1. But after all, for Team Queso, taking that 2-0 lead heading into Escalation on Vasgar, Team Queso might be quite all right. They got a lot of slaying power and a lot of potential on that map, so potential to get 3-0 here is there. But TJ starts it off, brings it down to a 4v3, taking on Yachty.
First blood's going to be important here, because now they can angle out, go out wide. There goes the second kill onto Bronny. Scavzy gets taken out as well. Now Pell's going to feel that same pain INZEM was feeling a few rounds ago. Stuck in no man's land, not going to give the opportunity to even fire a shot. 32 seconds. Hive, they're finding themselves on this execution, and they're finding a way to pinpoint and lock these players out individually.
And they're slowing down the pace of Team Queso. That's the big thing, right? Team Queso, off those early rounds that they were able to win, we're off on the back on what Bronny just absolutely popping off, making some big moves, making some big plays. You take him, or at least you slow down the pace of the fight. I think Team Queso is more uncomfortable in that spot. Hive, if they pace it out, I think they're just a better team overall, and I think they're doing a better job at doing so. You can already tell Team Queso has slowed down quite a bit. Bronny at this point would have been flying towards the Hive members. Now he's in no man's land, about to be isolated between several of the Hive members. Luckily, though, there is going to be an angle found and a good positioning from Team Queso. This should be their round with the way that they're collapsing, and that's going to be at least 1 out of the way, 2 out of the way, and INZEM last alive. And you can really tell that Team Queso, the way they worked around that alleyway was beautiful. They were able to isolate those Hive members accordingly. A big salute to send off the round 4-3. It's still close.
I'm just hoping that's not too soon. Not too soon. You guys still got to battle back. Winning that first round after 3 straight losses to Hive in this one. And this is where teams, they got to have that endurance to go the long game in execution, even though the maps overall might not be that long. But when you're used to playing 1st to 4 and it gets changed up to 1st to 6, you got to have that mental stamina to kind of switch up your strategies. Don't get over aggressive. Don't get baited into anything.
Bronny once again, the big factor. He's been getting the first blood pretty consistently. We'll see what he can do against Demise. He's just trying to make them overexpose themselves, so maybe even Yachty can come in and get a cleanup. First blood is absolutely critical, and there it is. TJ, great connection on Yachty with the instant. 4v3 now. Demise forced to back up, but the cavalry is coming through from Team Queso. They only lose 1 member. Luckily, there was a potential for them to lose 2 in that moment. Now Team Queso brought down the 2 as Bronny's gone. TJ forced to back off and retreat, and that should be the final player and the final nail in the coffin. 5-3, 1 round away for Hive to take this execution.
This is why I wish I wish I had the old school MLG Astro listening, just because how that one break away. There was all that 3v3 action going down at the checkout. Meanwhile, it was stalemated between Pell and INZEM. As soon as there was a down, Pell tried to backtrack. INZEM used that as an opportunity to cross these players out. Everybody on the checkout from Hive backtracked, and they used their team fire. Brilliant work to earn that round. Now they're on map point. Tie this one up, 1 round apiece. Demise going to go in, get those instants first. That's going to be a true defining factor of separation here, as it's going to be Bronny. He has to separate himself. He has to try to escape those instants. He gets taken out for it. A player might go down, but no, he's escaping. Yachty's now stuck between a rock and a hard place. Yachty goes down. Pell goes down. 4v1 scenario for the map. Scavzy not going to be able to make this one come through as Hive takes it 6-3. We got a tie series at 1 apiece.
And I love that last round for multiple reasons. And the biggest reason for me, Hive, TJ pushing up, finding the weak spots for the boys of Team Queso, and then ultimately backing off as Yachty tries to push forward. Now TJ backs off. He's able to isolate Yachty, take him down. It was just a good bait and switch overall. A lot to break down from that map. Overall, like you said, we're tied up 1-1, and despite Bronny going 11-2, it just wasn't enough. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll break down the first 2 maps and also talk about Escalation Vasgar coming up next. Welcome back to Gears Pro League Split 3. We are deep into the series between Hive and Team Queso. We just witnessed Execution. Hive able to strike back after losing the first map. Regency control. They win Execution on checkout 6-3. Let's talk about it, Jacob. Why was Hive so good in Execution, even though Bronny went 11-1? What happened?
And when it comes down to aggression, those single lives, they were doing a good job of making sure every single one of their moves was not only kind of like thought out, but it was strategically sacrificed. If they were going to lose a player, it was getting position, it was getting frags, and it took a couple of rounds for them to kind of get it under their belt and get things going. But you saw as soon as they were able to gain that momentum onto their side, they won 3 straight rounds and they figured out Team K. So they stopped Bronny, and I think that was going to be one of the biggest factors in that match. They shut down Bronny to where he was going to be the star player in this one. And that's the thing about Execution. If you have a player going off and he's leading the charge for the team, and on one side you kind of put your strategy around that player going off, but on the other side you got to figure out how to stop that player, and Hive did a good job of shutting down Bronny.
And I think there was a transitional point when, they were trading off rounds back and forth. I think it was rounds 3 and 4. Hive was able to chain together 2 in a row. You can really see a difference in pacing. Team Queso was kind of dictating the pacing throughout the first couple of rounds. Very aggressive. Bronny, for example, you say shutting him down. I think that's the greatest way to put it. You have to shut down your star slayer. You do that, Execution is much easier from that point forward. But Hive did a good job at backing up and pacing it out more. At the beginning, they were, going at Team Queso Queso's pace. They were flying at them. It's a bit more chaotic there. You have less control. Team Queso, they're a bit more comfortable, I would say, and you're evening up the odds there. I think Hive across the board has a lot more controlled players, and because they slow it down, you can really see them dictating the fights and forcing Team Queso to push up and maybe put themselves in positions where they wouldn't necessarily have the advantage. So well done from Hive, pacing it out well. We tied the series 1-1, but now we head into the tried and true Escalation on Vascar. Who has the leg up here, Jacob?
I almost got to go to Hive just because how they played execution. You know they're ready to be aggressive, and we know how Vasgar plays in general, let alone Escalation. The meta is still in terms of aggression. It's still in terms of getting that first and setting the tone for your team. It's just with these added game modes, these players need to be very cognizant. These modes might play a little different, so you need to be able to flip the switch, play and have your play style play into the way of how the mode works. And so hopefully these teams don't get lost in the sauce when it comes to Escalation, control, and execution. But you already see a split around the map. First blood going to Hive.
First blood going to Hive. Still, though, nobody able to gain control of the neutral. It's going to be a 2v2 for Bravo. Pell very concerned with his top fight. Demise will angle him out. He is gone. And Hive at least locks in A and is going to be able to rotate over towards Charlie. The tank fight is going to be well underway. TJ is going to be very weak and able to answer back, at least damage onto Yachty. Bait and switch with Solurs now pushing up. Third man has joined into the fight. It's going to be a big 3v3 battle, and for Team Queso, a must-win given the fact that they currently do not have, or they only have, one hill, and that's the hill they're fighting for, and they're just now locking it in place. Hive could get a domination here if they're not careful, but Team Queso, one by one, takes every member from Hive down. The last one remains is INZEM.
I know they got a mark on INZEM, but INZEM needs to figure out a way to be sneaky here. You know they're going to try and backtrack and look for you, but you need to figure out a way to waste as much time as possible and allow your 3 players to kind of spawn up, get in a position to attack the neutral, but it's actually be a rotation from TJ. They almost want to solidify this hill, get these eliminations because they think Team Queso is going to fight for this one sooner rather than later, which they should. It is going to be their home hill, but it is going to be a push and pull around the map as these teams and figure out which hill they want to attack and which hill they want to execute on. But it does look like it's going to be A. They spread the numbers all the way around the map. They're trying to force Hive back, but do they have the utility to back it up? I know Bronny doesn't.
Oof, yeah, Bronny definitely doesn't. A tough spot overall. Solurs very weak. He's going to be gone. Team Queso just needs to get the work right here, right now. And Yachty was that, really that was his time to make it his, and he couldn't do it. And that pretty much spells disaster, at least to me, for the boys of TQ. This is going to be a Hive round.
Yeah, that definitely is something that you don't want to have happen. Hive maneuvering around. Pell's doing what he can to kind of buy his team some time, but they're all backtracking and bypassing INZEM. He's being sneaky. There goes one. Now these players have decided we go back for INZEM. We try to protect our own home hill, and they almost split up and make separate decisions. And Hive is going to take round number 1, 2 minutes and 40 seconds, and continue to build on that momentum. Like I said, Checkout's a little bit of a different map than we saw Tomb Execution. It allows you to build that momentum with aggressive plays similar to what we see. So a map number 2, if you're able to kind of solidify a map number 2 being an aggressive execution map, you solidify it with a victory, you can bleed that momentum into an escalation as long as you once again pick a map that fits that aggression.
Want to see Team Queso battle even harder for arrivals. They're going to have the advantage, obviously, here. It's just going to be up the uptick, up going up the stairs. They're also going to have the bull talk, which is going to be great. Both teams obviously having that standard plays. They're going to have to fight for it, and I say that because you already know Hive is going to try and take control of that. You're going to have that battle. Naturally, we'll see kind of more essence be put onto tank, onto Bravo, and actually Hive is going to send pretty much everyone over there. It's going to be a 3v2, bit of a mismatch where Team Queso is going to prioritize a 2v1 over on Charlie, different in strategy. And I'm curious, does Team Queso stick this? Well, Yachty's going to have to. He's forced to backtrack. He's down. And Hive is going to go ahead and commit, I think, for rotating back over towards Charlie. And fair enough. So let's see how this battle unfolds. INZEM hits just about every shot with the bolt. Goes in for the finish, and this could be a 2-piece for him, but his teammate's going to be there for the pickup, and it is. Well done for Hive.
Yeah, that counter rotation back through your spawns is so crucial. That was a great move, and Bronny's trying to be sneaky, able to get the down, but 2v1, only so much you can do. He finally gets taken out. 2 hills once again in favor of Hive to start this one off. They're getting the spots, getting a little bit of damage from across the map. TJ knows he needs to get there as fast as possible, and they're actually rotating all 4 members there to make a defensive stop. It's going to be a 4v3 situation. I just see Bronny spawning up and trying to make a play for that hill.
Scavzy trying to get that pickup on the Yachty, and both will lose their life. Pell follows suit very shortly after. Bronny last up, and Hive continues to dominate this map. And even though Bronny is going to be able to get the decap, he's not going to be able to stick it. He's got to back up, unfortunately, and Hive will just as quickly retake that hill that they just shortly lost. Bronny forced to just rotate out as far as he possibly can. Big 3v2 battle onto tank about to be underway. Demise gonna hit a nice shot on the Yachty. He goes, just charges forward, picks up one. Scavzy now is gonna be pincered between not only Demise, but also TJ up ahead. I think Demise just caught TJ there, unfortunately, but either way, TJ is able to turn around, pick up one. That's another, and another two out of the way as Hive retakes control, or at least holds on to it.
Yeah, that did look like he tagged up his teammate there for a moment, but you see desperation 1v1 plays being made by Bronny. That revive is going to come through. Teammate there from Yachty at the right place, the right time. They need to solidify these hills because before you know it, it's going to be out of reach to where, yes, you might be able to come back with two uncontested, but that's not the position you want to find yourself in, especially with how well Hive is playing. Scavzy's doing what he can. Oh, miss roll. That's not good. TJ takes full advantage, and he's keeping it going. He's going to try to rotate around, get in a position where he can cross, but he has to be very careful. He's very aware of these players that he just eliminated, spawning back up and attacking that neutral once more.
Oh, that's such a big win for Hive. It would have been an even bigger win for Team Queso this late in the game, but now Hive is going to be within, what, 25 seconds of taking this round. They're well on their way to doing so. Scavzy picks up TJ. He'll get the break on B, but still, it's not going to be enough. I don't think the 2-1 shouldn't be enough. We'll find out very shortly, and it's not. So Team Queso needs to find a way to eliminate the enemy players of Hive, but also get the break on the Charlie.
Be crucial. Solurs trying to put a stop, gets one down coming through, but he forgets about the revive. He gets the kill, sacrifices himself. INZEM gets the trade. They still have the win condition towards the top, and with INZEM winning that battle, I think that's going to be the final nail in the coffin, especially on the other side. TJ gets both downs. Hive will secure this round, go up 2-0 versus Team Queso. They're keeping it close, but right now Hive is executing on another level.
And that's the thing. They're on a different level. Hive, in that last team engagement, they remained cool-headed, you know, calm and collective. They understood their position. They knew they had to win a couple of critical fights. Quite honestly, TJ didn't even need to win that last fight on Charlie, but he did. It was up to his other teammate who ended up winning the fight on tickets and ultimately rotating down the tank. That would have been the round secured regardless of what Team Queso did for the fight on C. So very well done across the board for the boys of Hive. They maintained control, and it comes to show you fall behind in the points a little bit early, or too early. Even if you do get the 2-1 towards the very end, you're going to be a couple of seconds away. The domination then needs to be your only call. Ambar placed on tank. Quite honestly, this is the right move. Even though we're only 3 rounds into this overall map here on Vascar, you know, Team Queso saw the writing on the wall. Those first 2 rounds didn't go their way. They said, we need to change it. Let's go ahead and do so right now.
Yeah, but the only thing is this side, I want to say almost favors Hive for a quick pick, but you can kind of see the strategy. They're betting against it. They want Team Queso to have to fight for it. And the way Hive has been playing right now, I'd want to make them fight for it as well. You know, you almost have the upper hand, or at least that's what it's seemingly like, as things have stalemated across the board. So it's going to be up to, I do believe, Team Queso to make the move. They are the Swarm Squad. They trailed 2-0, and they got to change the momentum and switch on over to their side.
Still a bit of a stalemate. No one wanted to make the first move as of yet. You got that big 3v3. And for INZEM across the board, he's going to be on opposite of Yachty. I don't think he makes the move either. And we might stay here for, you know, quite some time, to be quite honest with you. Again, they understand the importance of how this breakout is going to be. And no one wants to be that first blood, because you already know the first down or the first blood that comes through, you're going to put your team at a huge disadvantage. The pressure from the enemy team is going to be there. Now, I don't know if this is going to be the big breakout for the 3v3 fight, but at least for Hive, that is such a big win. Now they'll have the 2-1, and this stalemate is going to be even riskier for Team Queso from this point forward.
Oh, this is not looking good. They get, like you said, that one-man separation. It comes down to those kills. We see it almost time and time again, that 1v1 really controlling, or at least changing the pace with a decap, a crucial elimination. Anything is possible. Now, Team Queso, they're going to have to feel the pressure. I said it before, they're going to be the ones to make a move. Now they have to make a move. And the longer they wait, the bigger of a hole they're going to put themselves through. And the chances of success is slowly going to be dwindled down. TJ is going to try to lead the charge, keep the game into their control. Demise goes down as well. This could could be the moment Team Queso is waiting for. With those 2 eliminations, with the decap on this hill, they need to figure out a way to gain some points. 2-1 is a good way to start, but they need to get these eliminations in order to capture that second hill.
Taking out Solurs is going to be such a big elimination. Bronny knows this, and with the help from Pell, that is going to be massive. The M-bar has been backpacked. It is gone. That advantage Hive had, it is now not necessarily gone. They still have the point lead, and they might even be able to regain the objective, but that M-bar could have been massive. Bronny just waiting to be unstunned, picks up 1, still has to focus on TJ, gets the team pickup, but TJ's a bit too wise for that, and he's going to get the final elimination onto, I believe that is going to be Scavzy. So very well done from Hive. They retake or at least maintain control. For Team Queso, now, same scenario they've been in the previous 2 rounds. Even if they started getting the ball rolling from this point forward, everything has to go perfect for them if they want to secure this round, because they're going to have to do it last second.
Yep, and that's not something you want to leave up to perfection. We know so many different things go wrong. So many things can slip through. Even a tricky, sneaky play can happen. As you see INZEM, he's going to back roll. He doesn't want to take too much damage too early. They know they went off of 1 uncontested hill, and so does Team Queso. They're not going to waste any time getting this capture. They need to get the eliminations. Pell falls, and there goes a sneaky play. Demise rotating through. I don't know if anybody sees it coming. They're all 3 stacked together. 2 downs at the same time. It's going to come up to Yachty going big. I don't think he can be everywhere at the same time, and that is going to be it. As soon as the capture comes through, Hive will escape a narrow, sneaky, aggressive play coming through from Team Queso to go up 3-0.
You say escape a narrow, sneaky play, but they handled it so very well. Great job from Hive. That's 3 in a row. And I'm getting flashbacks from Rebel and Dream Conspiracy. I really am. You have a team that starts off so strong, map number 1 on control, gets a dominant victory, only to lose in execution. And now you're seeing well on their way to losing this. Vascar Escalation is the team of Team Queso. Just not what you need to see. They already tried to change up the fight with the M-bar. They can't afford to fall behind any longer. They got to get the retro. The retro is a very powerful weapon to have on Vascar. I think across the board, it's a powerful weapon to have. But this is a must-win for Team Queso. I mean, quite honestly, you cannot go down 4-0. Being down 3-0 is already hard enough as it is.
I don't know what Team Queso is going to have to do, but I honestly don't even think eliminations are going to be enough. They need to start winning these rounds and start to chain together and deflate Hive a little bit. This isn't execution where it's 1st to 6. This is still 1st to 5 in escalation. So they need to right now put up or shut up, because this is still that important swing round we've always talked about. And they need to figure out a way to start getting aggressive and not leaving this down to the very last moments to where somebody on Hive can easily try and sneak through, like you see INZEM doing now, trying to go across the bottom. That was a great mark from Bronny, and with crosses across the map from Yachty, that's going to be a big opening play, forcing the defense of Hive to kind of spread out. As you see, it's going to be TJ maneuvering over, so Team Queso have to see this, and they have to go. They have to at least get a cap. What are they waiting for?
You have to take moments like this into your own hands. You really do. Finally, the cap on B is going to be there. I guess they were very concerned up top. Bronny hits a nice shot on the TJ. The retro's going to help at least pepper INZEM. He's not going to feel confident to push up. That should allow for Bronny to go ahead and dip out and get away. More importantly, if INZEM decides to challenge this and Bronny can get this elimination, who knows? Bronny might be able to push forward onto Charlie, but that's going to be made a little bit more difficult as TJ comes off the respawn. You can see on the left side of the minimap, though, Team Queso continues to push forward. They're applying that pressure onto Demise and Solurs, but this might not be the play to make, depending on how it goes. But Yachty hits a nice shot onto 1. Solurs cleans him up, and that brings it down to a 1v1 onto Bravo. It's going to be Solurs versus Scavzy. Team Queso has a narrow lead, but Hive already has the 2-1 back in their hands.
What's crazy right now is, I think it was Scavzy just stretched too thin. He's trying to help everybody at the same time. And just like they always say, you can't make everybody happy. He needed to choose one fight and try and help it. He didn't help either 100%, and this is going to be the result. Team Queso, once again, finding themselves an advantage, getting tossed away. They're trying to do something. INZEM shuts down 1. Big shots fired onto Pell, going for a double kill reinforcement there. Pell's able to get 1, almost able to get 2, but it's actually being revived. He got none. There's 2 players dead as Bronny falls as well. Triple cap domination in just a short moment. It's up to Scavs. We've seen him make big plays on control, not able to make those big plays on execution just yet. As it goes through, he's trying to close it out. Humping being shown. INZEM is one of those vocal players, rightfully so. 4-0. Hive looking to close this one out.
Things are looking scary. Things are looking scary for Team Queso. Granted, yes, they have control coming up next. An opportunity to tie it up is there, but I really hope this isn't the trend that we start seeing in the series. Again, you win control only to lose execution, and then ultimately lose escalation, and then win lose the next control. There's got to be a little bit more. There has to be more dynamic to these teams. One game mode is not going to be enough for you to be a championship caliber roster. Now, granted, I will go back to what we said at the beginning, Jacob. We need to be a little bit more lax, but I'm going to be more lax on execution and control. This beatdown on escalation, like, this can't be happening. Like, you've been playing this map, this game mode, since the beginning of Gears 5 competitive. There's no excuse to be down 4-0.
No excuse at all, especially if you make a roster change and you're making it for a reason. You know, you want to see some progress. And after that map on control, I thought we were definitely seeing some progress. But like I said, there's different levels: control and execution and escalation. It takes different strengths, different weaknesses, so that way they can go ahead and utilize the different strategies. But now you can kind of see TJ trying to swing that from across, but it's going to be Team Queso making that first move. They're going to force him back. He does have that flash grenade, and a shock. This is going to be a great opportunity here to force the players back. Doesn't get the stun onto Pell, but he gets the damage, he gets the help, and gets the revive. Fight coming through from Scavzy. He's trying to make a play, and it doesn't come through. No bueno for Team Queso. This is looking like Hive all the way.
TJ is so comfortable in that tank fight. He's been very comfortable through and through, even whenever he was playing on that E-United roster back in 5v5 when he replaced Mental. He loves that tank fight, and INZEM, you said he's a vocal figure. Well, talk about not only the hump, but you're also getting the Batista? Brother, INZEM is feeling himself, and that is a scary INZEM.
INZEM is like me when I was a player, but better. I was like those soul players. I hump everybody. I'm wiping. I'm humping everybody. I'm white buttoning everybody. But, you know, I didn't necessarily win an event. You know, INZEM was one of those guys. He's up at the top. He's one step away. We've seen him in a grand finals before. Now he has an opportunity here to uplift Hive. We've seen some bad things happen, but this is a new restart, a refresh of a season. Blank page. There it goes. Solurs is going to be able to connect with one. They don't trail too many points here as Team Queso just now takes the lead. He's trying to line up some next shots. TJ figures out a way to stay alive in that corner. He gets some help with Demise. Triple cap domination sounding off. I don't know if Bronny's going to get the touch in time, but he needs the break. He's actually, no, he's not going to get in the hill, but that comes through from communication. Hive shuts everything down from west to south to north to east. They're everywhere, and a 5-0 domination in map number 3. They show they're still the top dogs.
Yikes, that 5-0 victory, that doesn't sit right with me. I'm not gonna lie. Great for Hive, but it doesn't sit right with me for Team Queso. Need a little bit more dynamic. Again, escalation, really honestly, surprisingly tonight, Jacob, has been the 2 times we have seen it, whether it be in the first series in Rebel and Dream Conspiracy, or now you know, between Hive and Team Queso, has been the most one-sided game mode we have seen yet. Where, quite honestly, coming into tonight, Jacob, I expected Escalation to be the closest game mode we have. It's familiar territory across the map. You're not dealing with new maps such as Regency or Reactor coming back into play, Checkout or Tomb, right? These are maps that aren't as familiar, at least right now, for the teams, even though some of them are OGs, right? You still got to get your feet back underneath you and kind of relearn them. We saw the same thing with Forge when it came back into the competitive rotation. Harbor also being an example, but Vascar Escalation, this is a map and a game mode these guys know very well. But for Hive, they seem to know it a lot more effectively. And for Team Queso, just what a terrible performance. I need to see more.
Yeah, even though you kind of said Escalation is like the bread and butter for so long, you're forcing teams that I talked about that don't necessarily have that IGL, these teams that are starting fresh, these teams that are making these certain changes, to not only have to practice Escalation from the start, but have to practice multiple game modes as well. So to me, that goes to show you got to make sure that you guys are practicing perfect. And I've said it time and time again, and I'm like a broken record now. It's not about just practice. It's not about just going with emotions. It's about having that perfect practice. And you know, shout out to INZEM for 1 second. I know this is the first of the month. This is Pride Month, and that blood splatter right there was the Pride blood splatter. So shout out INZEM, man. He's making it look good.
Heck yeah, man. INZEM representing well. Look, hey, INZEM, he's that guy. All right, he's showing the love. He's getting the spray down, got the Batista bomb. I needed that in my life, all right? I needed that for the opening day of Gears Pro League, coming back for Split 3. Representing well. Man, 5-0 victory for Hive's got to make them feel good. And I guess for Team Queso, they better be happy that Escalation has only played once in this best of 5 series, right? The rest of it is going to be control and execution. We're about to move back into control, which let's talk about it a little bit more, Jacob. Control, a game mode that Team Queso just won pretty handily. What was it? 300 to 132. That was all them. They played that very well, played it to a T. But as the series develops, and I ask you this as a previous coach, previous competitor, as you were just saying, you know, you just got, even though you win map 1, that was a long time ago, almost an eternity ago, right? You just lost execution. Granted, 6-3 is relatively close, but you just got beat down 5-0 in Escalation. How much does that affect your mentality heading into control?
No, it affects it a lot, especially some players that might be young, a little inexperienced, and teams overall that don't have that IGL, that rock that they can lean on in that category. It's going to be hard for them to shake it off, but there has to be somebody in the comms that is telling them to do exactly that. Shake it off. We still have a map or a series in a game mode that we've won already. We just need to kind of practice and win 2 straight here. You go ahead and start off your aggression like you did in map number 1. You really set the tone. You need to figure out a way to keep your head and your awareness at the big picture here. You can give up a couple of these hills to make sure you're setting up for future ones, but you can't sacrifice something without taking something else. Then you go into execution. Need to pretend like the first one didn't happen. It's going to be a little bit of a different map, and you can make a little bit of a different plays. You know you have the skill and the potential to do the things that you can. That's the reason why you're here. It's just now it's time to execute on all that practice you've been doing for weeks.
All right, so as we head into control on District, again, a very familiar map. I think we'll pull it back, but then we'll eventually get in there. But District is a map that I think both teams are, well, I know both teams should be very comfortable on, much like they were on Vascar. But man, I got to tip my hat to Hive. You know, Hive on District just works very well. I go back to their performance during mid-split playoffs, a bit more, you know, a little bit of a different DNA, but you look at the performance on District is phenomenal. Granted, Escalation, but again, I reference back to Rebel when I was watching them scrim Fire and Ice. One of the maps that they were doing so very well on when it came to control was District. Makes sense, right? Because when you think about District for Escalation, Rebel was a phenomenal team there. They played very well. They may have struggled in Split 2 Phase 1, but Split 2 Phase 2, they were a great team on that very map. So with that being said, I expect Hive, their transitional skills from Escalation to control, it's going to be applicable here. Team Queso is going to have a harder time on this map as opposed to a fresh map on Regency that we had in map 1.
Yeah, this is almost like deja vu as well from the first series. It was Rebel versus Dream Conspiracy. They took map number 1 in almost a similar fashion, just a few points differential. They get squashed on the execution. It wasn't as close in the Escalation. And then in map number 3, they kind of get in their heads. So like I said, they need to have that pitcher's mentality. Forget everything that just happened and come out hot like this is map number 1 of a new series. Once you're able to do that and have your overall game plan of how control works, block the spawns, stop the bleeding when you're down, and keep your head level and composed, you can easily bounce back into this one. Whip map number 4 like you won map number 1. Force a game 5 with momentum on your side. That is going to be key. But if they fall too early, let Hive continue to build on that momentum. It's going to be a very, very dangerous situation here.
All right, well, we're going to really need to see INZEM. I want to start off with INZEM, quite honestly, because he just showed all that love. You said, you know, he's a very passionate player, very vocal player. We've seen that kind of in his avatar. Boom shot in mid. He got the frags as well. And Hive is going to prioritize the frags as well as the hill. INZEM is looking to get this quick pick early on, and he does. We're going to have a stalemate. We're going to have a reset. Fair enough. We got another restart. Hey, check it out, guys. It happens. It is what it is. We'll get the game going shortly. Okay. But what can we learn from that breakout already, Jacob? Hey, we got INZEM going down for the frags right off the rip. And Hive clearly prioritizing a 2v1 down low earlier on. So Hive should have won that hill if the game would have continued, that is.
And definitely if it would have continued. There's gonna be a lot of questions too, because that's an opportunity. Do you throw out the same strategy? You try to switch things up. It's still so fresh. Even though there's scrims that happen, when it comes to actual tournament play under control, everything is still so fresh. So even though in Regency, for example, you saw Hive kind of favor that M bar, especially on the initial, we might not see them run that same strategy the next time they're on that map, because they realize, hey, it might not be as beneficial. Go down too early, give up the M bar, especially if they're not solidifying the hills afterwards. So as these teams, as these players go ahead and get the correct swaps in play and make sure they're all in the correct spots on the map, that's going to be a very big question to be answered. What kind of strategies? Is the memory from Queso short enough to kind of block out the two blender of the maps they let go? And right now, Hive on the same side, man, they're just looking strong. They're looking strong.
Yeah. And I believe the issue was it should be double boom instead of boom in mid and then frags in cinema. So that was the issue. But it might be the case. We'll definitely look as we do go forward. But I think there was maybe one more issue that took place. It's okay, though. We do expect, these teams to kind of struggle a little bit. We were noticing, at least me personally, I was noticing the E-Days. Sometimes you go in with the wrong weapon swaps, or maybe there's some other issues. It's new. You're playing new game modes, same maps, but new game modes. You got to make sure everything is right, and sometimes it's not that easy.
Yep.
Sometimes
and
you gotta bring it back.
They can switch up in the future as well, as we try to create the most balanced cycle, the most balanced competitive play. We want to make sure, like I said, this is so new. These are what, like V1, even though it's probably V1 settings. With the amount of testing I trust you guys did at UMG, these are probably V1.95 settings, just to make sure we're getting at the tip-top shape. You see it in all different games, all different settings within esports. We want to make sure that we have the most competitive ones, so that way there's nothing that's too abusable, nothing that can be taken advantage of from any of these players. So it's as even as possible, and it comes down to practice, that perfect practice that you guys do week after week. And I'm going to start coining it time and time again. It's perfect practice. It's not about going through the motions. It's not about winning the map. Go ahead and put yourselves down 2-0 and figure out how you're going to come back with that pressure. So many different ways to practice. You just need to make sure you're firing all cylinders and you're practicing to your best of your ability. Otherwise, when you come into these big moments, whether if it's Pro League, whether if it's E-Days or the major, it's not muscle memory anymore. That's where those mistakes are made.
We had another matchup that was taking place on a side station, and I just kind of checked over on my Twitter. Looks like it's over with. VQ does win 3-0 over Digital Gaming. Ooh. So VQ, getting that replacement and replacing Bronny with Zysho seemed to be a great thing. And Digital Gaming, the newcomers to the Pro League, well, they just learned what VQ is all about. So hopefully they'll have some better series in the future. Digital Gaming, let me go ahead and take a look at that roster once again. So that's going to be Toxic, Gary, Nero, and Nash. I think they played very well during their performance during the Pro League qualifier. They ended up, I believe, beating Outcast, which is now Noble, actually. They beat them 10-2. They had a very dominant performance. So coming into Pro League, I expected Digital Gaming to be one of the top performing teams. But granted, Pro League qualifiers, to the respect of the teams, we did Escalation, and that was only right. It was too quick of a turnaround from the Spring Major to Pro League qualifiers. It was only, less than 1 week or 1 week in time. You got to play Escalation. So as they do transition into Control and they transition into Execution, maybe Digital Gaming is going to have more of a learning curve than we were expecting them to have. So fair enough. But hey, let's go and get into it. Finally, we are ready to go. Scavzy is going to be on your screen. He picks up those ensigns, but much like before, Hive is in fact going to be the first one to prioritize into the early hill. So ensign does connect. I thought it wasn't, but Solurs is down. Well done.
That was actually a good little ensign. He's the tip top of the cover and burn him alive, which is going to be crucial. Probably even hit him barely. If he misses that goes a little too wide. He's not even burning him on the cover, but you see TJ holding down this hill. Already 30 seconds to start this game off for Hive. That's not the way you want to start it for Team Queso, but a big boom shot from Yachty is going to open up that opportunity. They can easily tie this game up, maybe take a second of a lead if they get all this time, but you don't honestly want all this time. You want to be able to set up for the next hill at the same time, but somehow Solurs able to get it down, able to get a kill, a trade, Demise forced to back up, and this is where if I'm Hive, you had the majority of the time. You can easily set up for the next hill, so you trap them on that side of the map. You don't give up these deaths, but Demise going down when he did. TJ in a bad spot here. This is going to be a good opportunity here for Team Queso to come back after that not good start.
Yeah, absolutely. Still very early on, as you mentioned, and very wisely so, Jacob. I think you pointed out best. That first hill is kind of a placeholder for the second hill. You want to focus on your rotation and get set up for these hills that could net you quite a few points. Where INZEM is currently fighting, where Team Queso pushes back, this is a hill that can net you quite a few points. You think about 75, you can lock all those in, man. You could take a tremendous lead. It is a battle, though, a bloodfest, and it looks like Hive is going to be the last one standings in this hill, forcing Team Queso to rotate out. But Hive is getting very aggressive. They want to push Team Queso back, and again, you don't have to be this aggressive and put yourself at risk. Demise, TJ, you got nowhere to hide. You just get put into the blender, and you put so much pressure now on the Solurs.
And now you see the angles coming through. They're trapping these players out. 3 players up top doing so much damage with the Lancers, and it's Solurs. He's going to be the key for this one to get the eliminations. He finally gets taken out, but the damage there. TJ is trying to keep him red, trying to keep the advantage on over the fight. Lancer shots towards the top, and Hive right now is looking pretty solid when it comes to solidifying, slaying with the shotgun, helping these players at the right time to get the down. The TJ is going to leave that hill to get the instance and backtrack to rack up some more of that time. It's going to be about a 60-point lead for Hive, give or take a few points before this next hill shows itself. But you see, they're trying to break 28 seconds. This might not be the best play for Team Queso.
Yeah, definitely not the best play. Again, you have to focus on the next one. You're getting too wrapped up in the score. And I think right now for Team Queso, maybe their mentality is like, man, you know, Hive, they're at 80 points. We're only at 28. We got to fight for every point. Not necessarily the case. You have a long way to go. 300 points is what you need to win. You have plenty of time. Stay composed. Wait for the next hill. Wait for the rotation. Bronny is having a time of his life, man. He's trying to get, he couldn't get anywhere. But you know what? That's a big elimination. Why? Well, because he picked up the boom. The boom no longer being in the hands of Team Queso. And now Yachty, he's trying to even up the odds. TJ will connect on the Pell with the INZEM, but even so, the hill's still in Hive's hands.
Yep, they need to be careful here. They blocked the spawn down low, so it is going to be Team Queso getting that down low spawn, but they got to be careful. Scavzy is going to get pressured in towards the backside. He gets into the hill. He needs to be able to buy his team some time. He's in a 1v3 situation. Doesn't get the necessary time. That's why you backtrack. You try to get with your teammates. Big shots being fired. Trade coming through, and that leaves Pell by himself. He gets taken out. Double kill for INZEM, and they get the back spawn. Team Queso is going to have to travel to the open portions of the map if they're looking to go across to break this hill. 40 seconds left. Hive, and this is the beauty of it, because they racked up so many points, they can get abandoned this hill. They can play for eliminations and simultaneously play for next if things don't go their way here.
Still, though, this lead for Hive is getting pretty scary, I'm not going to lie. At this point in time, Team Queso, they've been at 28 points for the last hill and the majority of this hill, if not all of this hill, with the way that it's going. Hive is just doing such a great job with the team fire. Leaving Pell to bleed out, smart decision. Again, guys, at home, you don't want to get the finishes here. You want to allow the teammates to bleed out, or at least let them stay down as long as possible, so you take one member out. It's a constant 4v3. Hive is doing that just in such an expert fashion. We're going to be rotating over towards the next hill very soon. You can see the team starting to inch their way closer and closer. Bronny looks as if he might be able to get the first touch, but the pressure is already there. 29 points finally, but Team Case only gets one additional point before Hive is able to get there and start racking up more points in their name.
You said it earlier. I'll say it again. Bronny is really going through it right now. Kills himself with the instance. The hill once again in Hive control. And this was that moment I talk about. You need to sit still, stop the bleeding, get up as a team of 4, and figure out where you want to attack. You don't always have to attack the hill time and time again. You got to attack these players on the outside. And Demise is one of the players you need to watch out for. He does have the boom shot. Yachty gets taken out again. Scavzy could become a target, but he's not really a threat at the same time. They're just going to go ahead and try to pass that 200-point mark before they make a play. The boom shot being used. This is just not looking good for Team Case, so they might be all cheese, but it's not going well for them.
In the past 3 hills, Team Queso has accumulated 1 magnificent point. That's it. They have gone from 28 points to 29, and this could be the worst loss yet in control tonight that we have seen if Hive continues this up. But finally, Bronny gets a break. Big eliminations. That was 3 down for Hive, and Team Queso will at least accumulate quite a few more. But granted, there's only, what, 10 remaining points on that hill. They're only going to be around 38. They can't even stay there. They understand the importance of this next hill. This is going to be a tightly contested hill. If Team Queso can get this break here, take out Hive members, they can finally start catching up. Still a lot of work to be done, but unfortunately, Scavzy's last alive. He's out of the way, and Hive once again continues to get closer and closer to 300.
Yeah, this is not looking good. They're just getting picked apart left and right. It almost looks like they're just getting antsy. They're getting desperate to make a play, and they're just looking like almost like a ranked match out here. They're not necessarily looking like they deserve to be here at this very moment. But they fought long and hard. They made the roster changes that they thought would work out for them, and they run into the Hive brick wall. Like I talked about, they found somebody in Demise that fits their playstyle. That's exactly what happens. INZEM getting that down onto Bronny. Nobody is going to be able to save his life. He gets taken out by Yachty, trying to get his spawn a little bit faster, but timing is not on their side. They have to go, and they have to solidify this hill, the next one, the next one. This is not going to stop for Team Queso if they're going to look to win the series.
And I hate to say this, within the last 4 hills now, Team Queso has only accumulated 10 points. That's it.
Why'd you say it? Why'd you say it?
Because I have to say it. I have to point out the factual information, my guy. 10 points in the last 4 hills. That doesn't, it's not going to be equivalent to a victory. It's just bottom line. It's not. And this is the thing too. Now Team Queso's in a weird predicament. When a team has such a commanding lead like Hive has, now you do have to battle for the scrap time. You can't afford to allow Hive to get 5 points here, 5 points there. You can't, because 5 points here, 5 points there now puts Hive at 290, 10 points away from a victory. And then another 5 or 10 points gives them 300 to win. So Team Queso now has to literally fight for every inch of this map.
Yep, they get themselves elimination. They get the revives, and that's not going to come through. There goes a sneaky play from Bronny, trying to dodge the flash grenade while simultaneously pushing up. But his whole teammate's fighting a war right down below. Yachty gets taken out. Pell falls as well. Bronny is going to be the 3rd player dead, and Scavzy will be the 4th. This is looking like game, set, and match for a Hive, as TJ is looking to be the anchor player towards the back, taking out Demise, showing a little Humpty Dumpty. This is it. Yeah, exactly. That's pouring salt in the wounds at this point. Hive, and just like that, in their debut, new roster, new look, 3-1, they close out the series.
My goodness. What was the final score? Obviously 300 for the side of Hive. Team Queso, what, 59? That doesn't feel good. That doesn't feel good. And again, this series, much like before Rebel and Dream Conspiracy, you know, we see the team of Team Queso win control, only to lose the next 3 maps. Tough break for them. We're going to be a little bit more lenient, as we said, this week. Teams are starting to get their feet underneath them, maybe even next week. A lot of promise from Team Queso, in my honest opinion, but the worst beatdown we have seen on control yet, 300 to 59. That's much like that, what, from a 5-0 to 300 to 59. I forgot about the 5-0 on Vascar. Like, that's tough, man.
I think they might have forgotten. That's just, like you said, that's just a very tough thing to kind of bounce back from. Like you said, this is deja vu. Dream Conspiracy and Team Queso both setting the pace, winning map number 1, doubling up their opponents, just to come out flat in the next couple of maps and really just toss this series away. And it really it shows its experience so far with these 3 game modes has been the defining factor.
Yeah, it really has. And I'm seeing maybe, well, I guess I'm not seeing a trend. I was about to say maybe, you know, the teams of Rebel and Hive are more, you know, confident playing, whether it be a different game mode, but on a map they're familiar with, such as a control. But then again, I go back to Rebel and Dream Conspiracy. Rebel lost Training Grounds, you know, a map that you would think they would win versus a team such as Dream Conspiracy with how good Rebel can be on Training Grounds. But no trends just yet, other than the fact that normally the team that wins map number 1 will lose the next 3. I guess